All right, guys. So let me introduce you real quickly to Angela. You're going to have a chance to get to know her throughout the next half hour or so, and you're going to love her just as much as I do. I guarantee it. She is an absolute rock star in our franchise network. She's based in Round Rock, Texas, which is just north of Austin, and she is a good friend of mine at this point. A great business owner that, whether she knows it or not, had entrepreneurship, inside of her blood for a long time, and worked in corporate America for various different organizations, and then finally took the plunge a while back to become that entrepreneur that she's always meant to be. And in a short amount of time, really in less than a couple of years, she has built an amazing business, even through all this pandemic crap, that we're dealing with. She has remained strong and even grown in the face of all this in some cases. So I think you guys are going to love Angela as much as I do. I can't wait to hear some of the answers to some of these questions, because I'm interested in just as much as you are. And so, Angela, welcome to our interview series here with franchisees in our network.
Glad to be here.
All right, so let's step back in time. Everybody wants to know what you were doing before you were the superstar Two Maids and a Mop franchisee. So what were you doing before you made the decision to become part of our little family here?
So I worked at a law firm, and I worked with a team of attorneys. We did corporate securities, and my job in that role is to work with startups. And I worked with startups for 10 years, other entrepreneurs that came to us and was telling them, how to paper their business, started a lot of corporations, started a lot of LLCs, and educated them on the business aspect of it, as far as the corporate side of it, stocks and things like that. And after doing that for 10 years, I'm like, why am I not doing this? I'm telling other people how to do it. Why am I not doing it? And I just kind of started feeling like I needed to make a change and do something different. And I started looking at different franchises. And it's funny because I worked with a franchise consultant, and I had my heart set on something completely other than maid service. And he mentioned maid service, and I laughed. I said, maid service? I'm not going to maid service. I don't know anything about cleaning. I've never cleaned houses in my life. But as I progressed in just learning more about Two Maids and a Mop, I fell in love with the model. I fell in love with Ron Holt, and I became a Ron Holt nerd. I drank the Kool-Aid, and it's been amazing ever since.
Well, so number one, if you are a Ron Holt fan, you are destined to be a nerd, because I'm far from cool. But I love hearing that, and I'm an Angela nerd as well. So going back to that process when you're making this decision. Like you said, most people, including myself, didn't necessarily grow up just dying to start a cleaning business. That was not something that I wanted to be Tom Brady, not Ron Holt, the maid service guy. And once I figured out Tom Brady aspirations were dead, then I started looking at where demand was and what industries were ripe for disruption. And that's what kind of led me to this industry. Beyond my good looks, what allowed you to sort of get past this stigma of how residential cleaning and really think seriously about the industry?
One thing I learned in working with other entrepreneurs in corporate America, and when for example, I start a corporation, or I do a merger with a company, or I work with company for several years, I don't know what they sell. It doesn't matter. And that's the one thing I learned working in the law firm so long is I'll work with companies for years and I have no idea what they do. It doesn't matter. What really matters is the leadership of the company. What really matters is the business model of the company. Are they making money? You could have the greatest CEO, but they could go bankrupt. You have to have all those boxes checked. With Two Maids, all the boxes were checked. I'm a Ron Holt nerd because, and one of the reasons I fell in love with the company is the company culture and dealing with people. People are important to me, and my team is important to me. And that was really one of the things. Getting past the stigma of a cleaning company, again, doesn't matter the product. It really doesn't. What matters is the leadership and the business model. As far as residential cleaning, in my area, cleaning is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We have a very fast growing suburb. We're north of Austin. Our business, our business is not cleaning houses. It is giving busy families more time together. It is a absolute necessary, especially now with COVID.
I couldn't have said it better. So I can't wait for you to tell everybody how easy this has been, how it's been from day one. Just you went straight up, and you're still going up, right? It's all been just a bunch of easy buttons you push every day.
No. No.
Well, let's talk about that. What's always been so impressive to me is, one, you can tell you've got just this massive heart, and so anytime you're around you want to make Angela smile, because she's just got this big heart, and if you can't make her smile, then you feel bad, you feel worse for yourself. But even beyond that, your work ethic has been just through the moon. We can teach you all sorts of things. Like, we can teach you how to use our software. We can teach you how to use the products that we use to clean a house. We can teach you how to manage the business from an accounting standpoint and all that good stuff, right? We can teach you all those things. But work ethic and drive and passion for the business is something that really you have to bring to the table. And that's not something we've ever had to really push you to do. You've always just naturally fought and been a hustler. So take us back to those very first few weeks, because you had an interesting start to the franchise world that you didn't necessarily think you were going to operate it in an owner-operator style, but you ended up doing that.
Yeah, I started out I hired an office manager, and I was doing absentee owner. And I wanted to continue working at my law firm until things got off the ground where I could step out of the law firm role. And it just so happened, so we opened in August. Luckily, I have a rock star manager. She's still with me today. And she did most of the opening, everything. You're given instructions on how to do everything, and she did the bulk of it. Fast forward to November, after being at this law firm for 10 years, I lost my job. The law firm had just started kind of not being as busy as it should have been. And I was one of the ones that got let go. And I actually thanked my partner when he let me go, because I said, this is exactly what I need to do. I need to just go and work my business. And I didn't skip a beat. I didn't look for another job. I just went in full time with my manager, and we just grew the business. And I have been able to do that. We've grown, I think, very quickly. I did not look for anything else. I did some contract stuff on the side, which just kind of helped as far as, paying the bills along the way. But I'm now at a point where I'm able to pay myself a livable salary. And very pleased that I really took the leap of faith and moved forward and didn't find another job, and just really did this full time.
When was your grand open date?
August 28, 2018.
Yep. So you're not even 2 years into this. Mm-hmm. What are some of the key things that you learned during that early process? What's some things that sort of you expected and you hit it head on, and what are some things that were totally unexpected that you still had to hit head on?
Well, I think that you guys did a really good job really setting us up. One of the things, my manager and I had the opportunity to go to MadeCon before we even opened up. And I remember, Ron, you spoke to us and you said, hey, when you're starting out, watch your expenses, watch your bottom line. And I knew that going in, and I try to listen to you. I started out with a sizable amount of money. And because of that, I remember you said, it's not till you start, you really are working with a little amount that you really start focusing on the little things and on the budgets and things like that. And going in, I knew that advice, you told me that advice, and I found that to be true. Of course, when you're starting up, you're spending money here and there, getting your supplies together and everything. I wouldn't have done anything differently, but you do start to kind of think differently once you're working with a little less. That was one of the things. And then, because you guys, there were really no surprises, honestly. You guys did a really thorough job of, I knew what I was getting into. One of the things was employee turnover. Do expect a bunch of employee turnover in the beginning, but you will get past that. And you just have to get past that first couple of months, because you don't have the work yet to sustain employees, and you just have to have that expectations that you're going to have a lot of turnover. Just recently, a couple weeks ago, I had somebody that hit her 1 year, and I've got a handful of other people that are about to hit their 1 year as well. And we're doing very well with limited turnover.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. As you know, managing people is the easiest part of our business. So you've really done a good job in a short amount of time. What are the secrets there? How are you able to keep people for such a long amount of time?
You have to meet them on their level. Everybody that comes in is different, and so you have to take them where they're at. For example, the girl that just hit a year, we didn't expect her to make it past a week. She came in, and every time she would speak to me, she would cry. What I realized is that she's the type of person that really needed praise and to be pet, but also kept at arm's length. And it's just this combination of petting and pushing back that I've had to do over the past year. Not let them get too close, but also not be cold. So dealing with that personality, you deal with all kinds of different personalities, and really the key is just finding out what motivates them and making them tick, and meeting them on their level.
Well, why don't you brag a little bit about what you've done? So can you tell everybody where you are in terms of the state of the business?
As far as revenue, or as far as
Anything you'd like to share. If you don't want to share that, that's okay.
No, I'm an open book. I know when I was going through this process, I wanted to know hard numbers. So I'm an open book. If anybody wants to talk offline, I'm definitely happy to do that. We started out with 2 people, and we grew. Right now we are running 4 teams solid. So I've got about 9 to 10 PHCs, and we need 2 more at least to get through the busy season. You're running 4 teams. We're running on average maybe $1,500, $2,000 a day. Before COVID hit in January, we hit the highest revenue to date. We hit $40,000, and that's running between 4 and 5 teams. And then February we did okay, and then COVID just really knocked us out. But we are recuperating, and we are recuperating in such a way that right now we've got leads coming in that my manager and I just can barely keep up with, which is a good problem to have. But we are hiring like crazy, and we want to capture all that business that comes in. I feel like we have been successful building teams. We've got 4 solid teams that really just enjoy working together. They've been with us for a while, but it's really building a team, building that book of business, and then doing it again, and then doing it again, and then doing it again, and then managing that process. That's all there is to it. Easy. I'm just kidding. It's not easy.
Well, so let's put your coach hat on. You're the coach of these franchise candidates. They've become franchisees, grand openings today. If you were to be their coach and kind of guide them through their first 6 to 12 months, what are some things you would tell them that that you've learned from your own experience that they should use to their advantage when they're building their business?
That's a really good question. First of all, I felt like you guys did a very good job in handing us everything we needed to know. We worked off this app called Wunderlist when we were opening up, and I'm not going to say it was easy, but it wasn't rocket science. It was just, I'm really good at following instructions. And so if you guys have the ability to take something and unpack it out of the box and just follow instructions, you're going to be successful. But just expect failure. Expect people to leave you mid-clean. We've had a cleaner that just left us mid-clean before. And even Friday it happened. She was pretty new. If you just really expect turnover in the beginning, but also know that when you're starting out, you've got more than corporate on your side. You've got a network of other franchisees who's been there before. And when I had the opportunity to go to MaidCon before we even started, I met several people. I met Vinny, I met Lee Sheridan, met Anthony. Those people were at about my level right now when they started, when I was starting, and now they're beyond my level. And of course, we're no longer starting out. Make connections, because you do have a network of people. Everybody most franchisees are very, very supportive. And so, for example, I come in and people have helped me, and now I get to a certain level, and now I help other people. I visualize it as we're all climbing up this mountain. There's going to be people ahead of you that are going to reach down and grab you. And then you grab them, and then there's going to be people behind you, and you're going to reach out and grab them. We're all getting up this mountain together. And that's what I love so much, not just about corporate, but about the people that corporate has brought in to be franchisees. That's the philosophy that I've experienced that a lot of us have. We are here and we've got each other's back.
Well, yeah, you just keep saying all those great things. It makes us sound a little perfect. We know we're not. We've made some mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
I think if I'm a franchise candidate, I kind of want to know, what am I getting myself into? Like, is my life going to be upside down for a little bit while I'm building this thing up? When am I going to make money, from all these things? When am I going to be able to buy that boat and not have to work, let the business run itself? So without being, dishonest, like what type of lifestyle changes has the business created when you were building it out? And now what's it doing for you on the other end now that business is self-serving for you?
You have to be willing to go in, and Ron, it's just like you said, and there are no surprises. You said it's like bringing home a newborn baby, and that is exactly correct. You bring home a newborn baby, and that baby needs your constant attention. So you have to be prepared to be on deck at any moment, 24/7. You will get past that. The first 6 months are probably the hardest, but they went by very quickly. And right now, we're about to hit 2 years in just a few months. And I'm at the point now that I am easing out of it. I mean, I'm at home right now, and tomorrow I'm off. I'm not saying I do work every day, but I don't work near what I used to work. I am constantly working on the business, but rarely am I working in the business. And you have to have a good manager for that. And we do have a really good manager for that. I would say at about 2 years, at least my experience has been to be able to, have that lifestyle shift where you're not as stressed and that things do become a little easier. I mean, you've really got to be prepared to go in for the first year to year and a half, 2 years, and work your tail off. You have to be prepared to clean toilets too. I've cleaned a lot of toilets. I don't clean anymore. My manager doesn't clean anymore. We don't have to. I mean, we have, like a staff of 9 to 10 people that do that for us. Lifestyle change. This has given me the ability to spend time with my kids, more time with my kids. It's a trade-off too, because I work from home sometimes, and then my kids are like, hey, can we do this? I'm like, I'm technically at work right now, but I do have that flexibility. I can go to the office when I want. I have an office there. I also have a home office. I'm in control of my day. My manager gets the team out every morning, and I don't have to be there for that. I do have to be on deck quite a bit. I am a support to her, but that's slowly, we're slowly transitioning into the next stage, which has been really nice. I love being able to be in charge of my day.
Well, I love you too, and whether you know it or not, and we're not going to let any other franchisee in our network hear this. So all these guys that are franchise candidates, if you become a franchisee, mom's the word. But not only do I love you, but you're my wife's favorite franchisee in the whole country. So she eats up your social media accounts.
Nice.
All right. So I want to give some other folks an opportunity to ask some questions, and we'll kind of come back toward the end. So I don't know if anybody's out there that wants to unmute themselves, but we've got 4 or 5 of you here today. I believe there might be more, but I'm seeing 4 or 5. But if any of you guys have some questions, feel free to ask away. We'll try to limit to one or two if possible, just due to time constraints.
Yeah, Angela, this is Mark. I'm looking at this Oklahoma City market, and I've reached out to Liz, Lamar. I've talked to Nico Garcia. I've talked to Andrew Trone, I believe it is. Those guys, like you said, Liz is running 14 teams. What does it take for you? Like you said, you've got, I think, 4 teams. What is your goal? Are you trying to get to that 14 team or 16? Sorry.
You bet. You bet. Liz is gonna be my white whale for a couple of years. I love Liz to death. She is an amazing resource, and I'm constantly picking her brain. She is definitely somebody to look up to. I know it'll be a while, but absolutely, I'm gonna be $1 million store. There's no doubt. Just because of our area and our growth rate, Oklahoma City is a really good market. I do have friends that live there. I know that they're growing. I'm familiar with the area. In fact, I'm from North Texas, which is about 10 minutes away from Oklahoma. And I think that would be a solid market. And like I said, people are busy. People live in the suburbs, drive. Typically people have about an hour commute. Cleaning is not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity.
Thank you.
I'm so not used to playing with mute buttons. I'm talking. Why isn't anyone talking back? Hey, Angela, this is Craig. Again, thank you.
Hi, Craig.
You got a great story. My question is really kind of around the competition and the unique selling proposition. So when you go to the market, listening or learning about Two Maids, they have a unique selling proposition for themselves. But then also, I'm assuming to some degree, you bring your own unique skills to it. So really, in your opinion, what is it that you're bringing to the customer that differentiates you from the competition? How much of it is you? How much of it is from the brand?
That's a really good question. There is a lot of competition here. There's always going to be. There's other franchises, but there's people that do this on the side. And what I always tell people, there's no such thing as a perfect cleaning company. Definitely the pay-for-performance plan sets us apart from any other cleaning company. Nobody else is doing that. And that is a big selling point to people. The key is really to make sure your Google reviews are solid. People will Google you left and right. And I always ask people, how'd you find us? And usually it's on Google, and home office manages that aspect of it. But if you keep your ratings up, people will choose you over other companies. When I have conversations with customers, I always tell them, hey, we're definitely not the cheapest company in town, but we're licensed, bonded, and insured. I tell them about the pay-for-performance plan, which does set us apart. People like that because it gives the cleaners ownership mentality, but it also lets me and my manager know how well we're doing. I always tell people I hear, hey, I hired a cleaner. They were doing a great job, but then they started slacking off. It doesn't happen with us because we keep an eye and we monitor our cleanings, and they can call us directly. Being available customer service wise, I always tell new customers there's no such thing as a perfect clean. There's no such thing as a perfect cleaning company, but if it's not right, we make it right. We offer free re-cleans. So really just setting those expectations in advance to the new customers, tell them, hey, if there's any issues, this is our pay-for-performance plan. You can call us. Setting those expectations in advance is really helpful, and just communicating with the customer. There are some cleaning companies that don't have that line of communication, and I feel like communication is really key.
It sounds like it. It's a great answer, and really it's a small follow-up. But in your experience, or maybe it's reviewed during the class, but what percentage of people typically leave ratings in Google?
It really depends on you. I know we could get more Google reviews if I promoted it more. We do give a $10 Google review bonus to our PHCs, and I rely on them to get those reviews. We probably get a handful a month. We don't get a ton, but it's also because we're not really promoting it. There's lots of things that we could do to ask for those reviews. One of them would be send an email to all of our customers and asking them for a review. I just haven't done it yet. And that's on me, shame on me, right? But the most people that do review us, they give us a 5-star rating. I know that recently Home Office has switched to a company called Gather Up. And after the customers have an opportunity to rate us on a scale of 1 to 10, if they're given a certain rating, then it flips over and provides them a link to give a Google review. So that's part of it too. Percentage-wise, a very low percent, honestly. But that's just, again, because we don't really promote it that much locally. We should.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Just to sort of follow up to that, when we think about feedback, we oftentimes think about the external, the reviews, the testimonials that you see on Google or Facebook or Yelp or whatever. But there's also the internal feedback, even within Gather Up. There's a lot of information that can be gathered there. Obviously, we need it for the pay for performance plan in terms of just determining the wages, the compensation structure for your PHC, which, by the way, stands for professional house cleaner for everyone out there. But that number also varies based on operator. So I've seen some review numbers be extremely high, and when we dig a little bit, what we discover is that they're utilizing more than just technology. Technology helps for sure. I mean, when we first started Pay for Performance Plan forever and ever ago, we literally called people, and they finally got sick of us calling. So then we started emailing people, and nowadays we're using text push-bin notifications to go to people's phones, which has been very effective. But even though it was forever ago that we made those phone calls and people got sick of that, every now and then, it's important, I think, to still reach out and have that one-on-one conversation with someone. Certainly not every week, but maybe once a quarter, even if it's just to say, how's the cat doing? So have you done that as well, Angela? Have you reached out to people even when they haven't, when there hasn't been an issue or a complaint?
Absolutely. Occasionally, so we confirm our appointments the next day by text typically, but occasionally we'll pick up the phone and call them just to check in with them and see if there's anything we can do better. Like I said, it's all about communication and building that relationship with the customer. I love Gather Up. I know I want to give you some feedback. It is amazing. We have definitely gotten a lot more reviews coming in with this new software, but what I really like about it, and what everybody also needs to understand, is that the technology at Two Maids, I feel like it's really cutting edge. You guys really always search out the best of the best. Gatherware's amazing. We have a PHC app, but Gather Up, I just did the training on it, and it just blew me away because I can manage all of our social media in one website. And Home Office is always looking to make things really just easier for us. So good job on Gather Up. I love it.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yep.
So we have time for one more question if anybody wants to fire away.
So Angela, this is Mark again. You talked about bonding, insured, that sort of thing. Do you find that your competitors can undercut you that way if they don't have to go through that insurance issue, or can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked it because I use it as a selling point. Absolutely, they can undercut us, but I turn it and flip it and use it as a selling point. So what I tell people is, we're not the cheapest company in town, but we are licensed, bonded, and insured. And if you are hiring, say Joan to clean your house, and Joan doesn't have all the insurance that I do, Joan messes up your floors. Guess who's paying for your floors? You are. Also, something to consider, when you hire us, you're the customer. If you hire Joan, you are now could be considered an employer. And so there's certain liability factors that you need to consider when you hire, a one person versus a company. And people really like that. And they like to have the comfort level of knowing that if we come in and we break something or we do something, we're going to have their back and we're going to make it right.
Yeah, Mark, if you'll allow me to sort of expand on that, what Angela does great, along with a lot of our franchisees, she just said it, we kind of combine the best of both of those worlds. So no one really wants to be the employer. You don't want the liability that comes with that, not to mention the oversight required to become an employer of someone cleaning your home. But you do like the relationship. You like seeing the same person and having a clear idea of what the expectation should be every single visit. So you kind of want that, but you also want the other side where you're also the customer if you want to be, So in our world, we're almost going through this radical revolution, I call it, where we're kind of moving past this idea of customer service and reinventing ourselves and calling it customer experience. And so Angela, like a lot of our franchisees, does a really good job of building a relationship with her customers. We've got software I'm super proud of, but the reality is inside of Angela's 2 years, I bet she could roll off every single recurring client she has right now. She could tell you how much the ticket is, all that good stuff, probably the cat's name. And that's something that, again, we can't teach. She doesn't have to memorize that, but by her being so involved in the business, it's just sort of second nature to know all this really personal information about our clients. And the clients feel that. They feel that relationship and that bond, so that whenever there's a mistake, which is inevitable, whenever there's a mistake by one of Angela's PHCs, that mistake can be overlooked because of the relationship that's been built prior, to that mishap or whatever. So kudos to you. And again, I really think that's the pay for performance plan. I love it. The software we have, I love that. The marketing that we have is really cool and innovative. But what I hope we can say, even just 1 year from now, is that the reason that our growth has been so strong and our success is across the board for all of our franchisees is because our customers feel different when they work with us than they do with another cleaning company, even though we're not perfect.
Spot on.
Hey, Craig, I feel like I cut you off there. Did you have another question that you wanted to ask real quick?
Real quick, just with your customer base, do you target a particular customer segment, or as far as, like, say, commercial, residential? I guess just speak maybe to your customer base real quick.
We are residential. We target residential customers. Ron, you may be able to expand on just kind of, who specifically we target. I mean, typically 2-income families.
Yeah,
there's got to be some demographics. Yeah.
Each market is a bit different. Generally, you're looking at a dual income. We clean everyone. We clean the college kid's apartment to the retiree who's downsized and everything in between. And so we don't say, if you want us to clean your house, we're going to do it. But our primary demographic, the one we really target for recurring revenue, which is our bread and butter, is the dual income household. And so that looks differently based on the market. If you're in an urban area, it's probably more multi-unit development. If you're in a more suburban area, it's more, housing developments, where they're kind of stacked on top of one another. A great example of this is in DC. We've got a franchisee who owns multiple locations in the DC area. So she owns the franchise in DC and also out in Alexandria and Virginia and also in Maryland in Rockville. And Rockville is completely different makeup than DC proper is. And so even though we're still marketing and we're still growing in both of those locations, the customer actually looks completely different. So we have to look at the market, just to be honest with you, and then based on what that market looks like in terms of who our customer can be, then we go to try to find that person. But in general, it's usually the dual income household that lives in the suburban style home.
Okay, good. That answers my question, actually. Thank you very much.
And just as a follow-up on that, while residential is our primary focus, we do clean a couple of businesses just through some connections that just kind of come in. They're kind of one-off scenarios, especially now with COVID. That's been really helpful. But we do have a couple of businesses that we do clean. As long as we can do it between 8 and 5, we'll do it.
Perfect.
All right, Angela, I just have one more question I guess I got 2 more questions for you. When can we go down and have another pina colada in Mexico? We got to go have some more fun once the COVID is either cured or we have a vaccine or something. We got to get back out there and spend some time together. We had a lot of fun. I think we were
Definitely.
we like to have a lot of fun with our franchisees guys. And so we travel a lot with them and just have fun. And right as COVID was, sort of rearing its head, the week prior to where it just sort of went nuts, Angela and I and several other franchisees went down to Mexico. We traveled internationally. And I heard a lot about a pina colada, but we never got to share one. I don't remember. So we got to do that at some point. And then I have one other question for you. This is the same question I ask everyone. So if you could go back in time, and now that you know what you know about this business and the franchise opportunity, and you could rethink the decision, would you do it again, or would you do something different?
I would do it again 1,000 times over. I have no regrets.
Gotcha. Well,
Mhm.
I'm glad to hear that. If you don't mind, sort of just kind of taking us home here, one thing that I'd like to maybe learn a little bit more is about lead flow. We kind of glossed over marketing and what that lead gen and lead conversion looks like. Just sort of kind of take us home, if you don't mind. Talk to us about what the marketing process is and how effective it's been for you and your business.
So the first 6 months are you're getting your SEO together, and they told us this right out of the chute, that just your SEO really starts kicking in after 6 months, and that has been our experience. After 6 months, I mean, we started getting leads in since day one, as soon as they opened up the software. In fact, when you guys were here training us, we were doing our training, and we got a schedule now, and we went out and we did it. People do have the ability to schedule online. We do get those pretty often. As far as lead generation after 6 months, it really does hit. People have the opportunity to give their information online, get a quote, and then we call them and follow up after that. Even in pre-COVID, I mean, we have leads every day. We have so many leads. Sometimes it's really hard to keep up with them. I mean, just today alone, I think we have about the last 24 to 48 hours, we've had at least 10 to 12 leads coming in. And this is slow for us. But once you get your SEO built up and you're searchable on Google and everything, the leads do come in. And it is not, I mean, it really is up to you to convert them into customers or not. But we have no problems with lead generation organically and what corporate does.
Okay, Angela, thank you so much, guys. I know you have Angela's contact information. Feel free to reach out and hopefully coordinate and schedule a time to talk with her. She's a rock star franchisee, and I can't wait to see what happens. It's not even 2 years, since we first started this business with you. So can you imagine where we're going to be in 2 years from now? It's fun time. It's fun things to think about. All right, Angela. So thanks again. We'll talk later.
All right. Thanks. Good luck, everybody.